Hi, I'm Walter Bond, former NBA athlete, Hall of Fame motivational speaker, and business accelerator.
And I'm Antoinette Bond. I'm a real basketball wife, a mom, I'm a business owner, and a business acceleration coach.
And this podcast is for business leaders, entrepreneurs, or anyone who's trying to get to their next level and just needs more support in business. Welcome to the Huddle. To me, recalibrate means what I'm doing ain't working, and I need a pivot.
Yeah. But then or it doesn't mean, to me, it's not always that it's not working, but maybe you're like, okay, in the season, kind of like, almost like an anointing. Anointing can lift off of something. And then you realize, like, wow, okay, it's a new season. New seasons show up. And we got to embrace new seasons. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think a lot of times when it's like you know that you want more, then you recognize, like, oh, okay, you know what? You saw the anointing is lifted off of something. And there's times that you know when the anointing is lifted off of something. Because it's something that used to be easy is no longer easy. Kind of what they're talking about. When things are easy, you're like, okay, that's where God is.
When I left Whitney Young, I was like, God, dog. Man. I didn't want to go, but like, it was a business move. It was a tough decision. Make it 17.
You know what? You started recalibrating like early on because you got the better school.
Yeah.
Because you got a better opportunity.
Straight business move. Made it 16 years old.
Walk me through it.
Yeah. I mean, I had a goal. You know, the goal was to make it to the NBA. And I also had like a 2.2 at Whitney Young. So I was getting my lunch.
Was it really that bad?
Yeah.
Was it really?
At the highest, it's 2.3, maybe. It was either 2.1, 2.3.
A lot of times stuff isn't as bad as you think, and a lot of times not as great as you think either. Because we learned with your brother, it wasn't as great as you thought. So I'm going to believe that your grades wasn't as bad as you thought.
You got to have a vision for your life, man. I left Whitney Young and went to Collins High School on the west side in the hood because I was able to get myself together academically and had a much better basketball team, right? So it was honestly a perfect scenario.
It was cool because that team at Collins had, what was like 5 of y'all when they played college basketball?
More than that. There's about 6 of us.
I mean,
Two of us played in the NBA. It was great. That was my first recalibration that I felt like I was a part of. My parents might have recalibrated me unknowingly, but I felt like I was a part of that decision. And it was a tough one. And, yeah, so, I had an end goal, though. I mean, so to me...
So was it tough? If where you were was not aligning with the goal, was it really that tough? Because I think a lot of times we think stuff is tough, and it really is a no-brainer because it wasn't working where you were anyway.
It was easy. It was an easy decision.
Yeah.
But still, it was tough to leave my friends, tough to leave Whitney Young, tough to go to the west side and be the principal's son. I mean, I knew what I was walking into. So it still was tough. I mean, it was a situation I had to face, right? And so when you make a decision, you got to deal with the consequences. I thought I was making the right decision, but I wasn't sure, and I had to be ready to deal with the consequences. And that's what makes recalibration tough. Like, to identify a situation that's not working, be decisive, and be willing to live with the consequences after you make this decision, even if it doesn't work.
But I mean, how many times have you recalibrated in life and it wasn't for the good? When you start thinking about...
We can't assume that just because you recalibrate, it worked.
But I would say, when I think about the word recalibrate, it's normally, to me, you're putting into motion going towards something more of what you want. Kind of you leaving this place that you just feel like, when I was saying, like, you kind of feel in that unsettledness where you're like, I'm kind of not feeling this anymore. So to me, I feel like if I think about what I believe recalibrating really is, it's really, to me, about how do you move faster towards what you want, because you know what you currently have is no longer the answer.
Well, I think what makes it tough is that you had a plan and you thought this plan was going to work. And then you come to the place where, dang, plan A ain't working.
Right.
Right? So now what's plan B?
Right.
And to be able to identify plan A is not working and acknowledge that, accept that, process that, and then be decisive and say, well, I'm going to go to plan B with confidence, right? You thought plan A was going to work, So sometimes plan B, it's tougher because sometimes you have to be able to convince yourself that plan B is going to work when you believe plan A was going to work.
But I think you get to that point of recalibrating when you're saying honestly, and that's why I think a big piece of recalibrating is that honest self-assessment. It's really what's wrong with being honest with yourself. It's like, well, this isn't working, and versus trying to hold on and pretend like something's working, versus being more nimble and saying like, you know what, this is no longer serving me the way I thought it was going to serve me.
Correct, but again, I'm going back to plan A. You attack plan A thinking that's going to work.
But
coming to the realization that, dang, I convinced myself that plan A was going to work. Plan A ain't working. Now I got to recalibrate, and now convince myself that plan B going to work when I was confident in plan A.
But what happens when plan A works? So you're making plan A not work. I'm saying plan A it got you here. But you know what? To get to that next place, you got to go on to like now plan A. Now maybe it's called plan A plus.
Okay, so we got a different definition of recalibrate.
Yeah, clearly, because I don't see recalibration as this negative thing and like, oh, I have no choice but to recalibrate. I see it as like an opportunity word. It's opportunity to me, and I think any time that I've seen in my life, I mean, heck, I transferred schools too, just like you did. I didn't have any apprehension. It was like, oh, but I'm very nimble. I'm very much easy to be like, up, on to the next. I don't spend time. I'm not spending, like, I wasn't thinking like, oh my God, I lost these people.
That is not apples to apples. You left the hood and went to a nicer school. I left a nice school and went to the hood. So that's not apples and apples.
It is. You can't say that. It was new and different. Are you kidding? I left the comfort.
You went to a better school.
No, time out. You can't say that. Because for me, I went to a school that took me from being comfortable around a bunch of people that looked like me, and I went to a whole school with people that did not look like me. Oh my God, that is like totally scary. That was like back in the 70s, 80s, like back when it was like, and not only did I go to people that didn't look like me for the most part, but I went from a school that I was highly super duper successful and like teacher's pet, like what was that little thing we always had, the patrol girl. I mean, I was winning, succeeding at my school, and I had to leave and go start all over again and meet new people. No, so that's not fair to say. I had to go back. I started with my elementary experience, started here, got there, and then to go back to middle school, I had to go back here to work my way back here again.
That's a different emotion.
That's recalibration.
That's a different emotion to say, I'm about to go to another level because I got more potential, so let me get to a better situation.
And that's to me, okay, so now that's a good point. Because when I think about the word recalibrating,
that's what you kind of want.
But you know what? When I'm thinking about recalibrating, that's how I see the word. Because for me, I've never seen before I met you, and even with you, the only time I could say, like, with basketball, I mean, actually, recalibrating for me with basketball was coming out of it because we knew it had run its course. And it was like into a bad spot. And so we're trying to still hold on for a while versus like, hey, you know what? This is over with. Let's go. We were 30 and it was like, okay, wait a minute. We actually did go to college. We actually did have degrees. I had a job before. So we actually had some other skills. So I'm just saying when you start discovering, wait a minute, I don't have to stay here and take this. I got some other skills, some other opportunities that I can go explore and work that angle versus trying to make a door keep working that is no longer easy and that's no longer opening.
Well, when we recalibrated from basketball, I had a great season. And my college basketball coach told me, when you really learn how to play, you're going to be too old. And flying back from Germany, I'm looking at you and the kids. I think I was 30. And I'm like, I'm done. I didn't say it to you, just in my head. I was like, this is not the dream to go play ball in Germany. The dream was the NBA. So coming back from Germany, I was like, basketball's over. And I kind of held it close to the vest. And I think I told you maybe a month later what I was thinking. But I knew at that moment, basketball was over because a vision, that goes back to recalibration.
Yeah.
You got to have a vision, right, of what this is supposed to look like. Because if you don't have a vision on what your life is supposed to look like, you will never even think about recalibrating. Right. So, with that being said, my dream wasn't to play in Germany. right? My dream wasn't to bounce around Europe and just try to hang on as long as you can. My dream was NBA. So when I found myself off track, I was like, let's recalibrate. So that's the conversation I want to have. Of when to recalibrate, I think you have to have a vision in the first place. Because if you don't have a vision, what are you recalibrating to? So again, recalibration is all about a business, a life, a person having a vision, clearly seeing where their life should be, whether it's being an entrepreneur, living in Europe, traveling the world, whatever your deal is, you should see that so vividly. And when your current state is not lining up and it doesn't look like you're on that trajectory, that's when you recalibrate.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I will say, because at the time that moment you just described, because I came back from Germany before you, because we had a business. So I came back, and I remember coming back with the kids. And I came back with the kids. We had that Gymboree business that at that moment, which was hilarious because we left Naomi running our business, and she was like an 18-year-old. We left our business, a franchise business. We left it in the hands of an 18-year-old child. And it was almost like, all right, for the sake of our family being together, it was like, girl, take that business, do whatever. At that season, it didn't even matter. And for me, I was over it. I think I was over Gymboree kind of as we bought it, because it was like, ooh, immediately, like it didn't feel right. And I think what you just described, I think a lot of times about the need to recalibrate, you start knowing it because it doesn't feel right anymore. And so sometimes you might need to maybe you don't have that clear goal in mind yet, but you just know in this place that you are, this place called here, there's like an uncomfortableness. You're unsettled. It don't feel good anymore. And I think when I think about you, it wasn't feeling good. It wasn't fun. It was a chore to be. It was chore. It was laborious. And I think when stuff becomes a chore, that's when you know, like, you know what, grace to me, I view it like grace. Like grace. Sometimes grace lifts.
I'm gonna disagree with that.
Oh, go ahead.
Because when basketball ended for me in Germany, I had a great season. It was the first time I agreed to go to Europe, and I was okay with it. The other times I went to Greece and Italy, I was bitter. I don't want to be over here. I'm an NBA ball player, blah, blah, blah. Germany was the first time. I was like, you know what? Let me go over here, have a good time. My buddy's an American. I'm going to play for Bayer Leverkusen, which is Bayer Aspirin. I went over there with a good attitude. I was positive. I wasn't angry. I wasn't frustrated. Had a great season. First team on Germany.
You had the right mindset.
Correct. But I didn't recalibrate and move on from basketball out of bitterness or anger. I was like, oh, this done ran its course, right? This is over, right?
But then remember now, when you got back, that was the year you were like, okay, I'm going to give the NBA one more chance.
Exactly.
And so actually it wasn't over yet. You said that, but for real, you came back to America. We were back in Minnesota. And I remember you saying, like, you know what? I'm going to give it one more chance.
That was the goal.
You said, I'm going to give the NBA one more chance.
As a little boy, I didn't dream about Europe and Italy and Greece.
And at this moment, you had that hope. Remember, you were like, ooh, Utah, I hear they need a shooting guard. You were like, you were holding out help.
They told me.
And now, mind you, you were already like about, at this point, if we were 30, you were already, because we were never in Utah, had kids. We had no kids. And so think about that. We were already about 4 or 5 years removed from the NBA. And I'm going to tell you, them years go fast.
4 years?
Yes, we were. We had 3 kids in Germany. We had 3 kids. All 3.
Utah made you have kids. You know that, right? There was something in that water.
I don't think it was Utah. You made me have kids. You did a little something.
that Mormon culture was very kid-friendly.
Yeah.
But when I came back from Germany, I thought, my goal was not to play in Europe. My goal was the NBA. And so my thought process, let me try it one more time, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And Utah played ball. They were like, hey, man, we like you. And if Shandon Anderson signs somewhere else, we're going to bring you in. So my whole future was based on this one guy signing. He signed with the Houston Rockets, never forget it. And at the last minute, they kicked me to the curb for Pete Chilcutt, the extra big guy. And I remember plopping on the couch. I got emotional, and I knew it was over. You had a college degree. I had a college degree. You were a professional when I met you.
We had left our business in the hands of a
and
child.
we had confidence that we can do other stuff.
I mean,
right?
it was.
We weren't going to be those basketball couple that we're just going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. And so I tried to make the NBA one more time, and when that door shut, I was like, oh, man, like, it's over. And I got emotional, and then we moved on. And so
I got emotional because I was like, dog it. You were used to be in like amazingly great shape, and I was like, oh, where's
You
that
didn't
body?
know. You didn't know. You didn't know I was gonna get fat. It just happened.
I saw your childhood pictures. What you talking
No,
about?
you didn't.
I,
You did not know I was gonna get fat.
I
did.
saw your pictures from when you played for the Gophers,
did
and I
not
saw the
think
pictures
that.
from when you were. Oh my
There's no
God!
way.
Stop
There's
playing
no way.
games.
There's
You,
no
I
way.
love how you always talk like I'm some person that just showed up last night.
I was in great shape my whole life. There's
I saw
no way
your
you
pictures.
predicted that he's gonna be a fatso when he gets done playing.
When I saw your pictures,
I
was
became
like,
a fatso. There's no way you projected
So in
that.
pictures, when I saw you play for the Gophers, and I saw pictures. Are you joking?
No, you didn't.
Oh my God! Shut your
No
mouth.
way. You
Oh,
thought I was
don't
gonna-
try it.
You thought I was,
God.
you thought I was gonna be a
Anyway,
hunk nonstop. You thought I was gonna be like 6-pack the whole 9 nonstop.
I knew better.
Yes, no, you didn't.
I knew you like six
I'm back.
packs.
I'm back. I'm back. You know, there's
Yeah.
many different reasons to recalibrate. You know, and if you really think about it, to be successful, I think it starts with a vision, and that's what's going to motivate you to recalibrate. So we all should have a vision for our health. We should have a vision for our finances. We should have a vision for our families. We should have a vision for everything. And when you're off, that should trigger all of us to recalibrate. And if it's, I think, and I don't know what your thoughts on it, that we were able to recalibrate in the moment when it was necessary. I just lost 55 pounds. Why? I got fat. To your point, I gained weight. I did. I didn't think I was going to be fat. It just kind of happened. And I think it was stress and just life. And you took me to the
And
hospital.
food.
Well, all
we
that.
Like, we like to eat. We're
And
foodies.
it was for me. It was more stress to me than anything.
You know, although we've identified there's different reasons for recalibrating. You know, you talked about recalibrating for one reason. I'm saying it for another reason. But I think the bottom line is that we've discovered if you want to be successful, you have no choice but to recalibrate. And I think about even in our business now, you know, we started off and we've been rocking a very strong keynote business. When we started this business 23 years ago, that was a goal. The goal was like, ooh, you know, I was behind the scenes. You know, I'm be that kind of the marketer. I'm kind of be that, what was I, kind of the manager behind the scenes while you became this like great keynote speaker. And I even think about that we discovered like, wow, you know, with the infiltration of like YouTube and social media and how really times have changed so much from back when we started this business that the content creation really became a big thing versus when we first started, you know, getting access to content was far away. You had to hire, you had to go out and, you know, remember like Zig Ziglar. I remember like when I worked for Dr. Pepper doing a training and they used a video of Stephen Covey. But I think about now, we saw like a shift in our business. And I would think a lot of people, even with COVID, a lot of people saw shifts in their business. And sometimes signs are there, but are we always paying attention to the signs? Are we sometimes holding on to something a little bit longer than we should be? Or should we find new way to do things? Because a lot of times, you know, recalibrating isn't about always abandoning something like we're talking about in basketball. You know, you don't always have to abandon something, but you might need to do something a new way. When I think about recalibrating, I think about like Amazon. I mean, Amazon started off, remember, they were like a reader with the Kindle. And look at how Amazon evolved to where now it's like, heck, we get an Amazon shipment like every day. So, you know, so to me, a lot of times, especially when you're in business and you're trying to be successful, you got to a lot of times recalibrate just to keep adding layers to your business or layers to your professional career, your success to whatever, so that you do get more successful. That's how I see recalibration, actually.
Well, let me say this. Recalibration is inevitable, especially if you want to be successful over a long period of time.
Yeah.
You know, you can't rock things for decades. You know, we just saw Smokey Robinson in concert.
Yeah.
84 years old. And we were joking, you know, before the concert, and he blew us all away. And some of my buddies is like, man, let's go listen to Strokey Robinson. I was like, man, you wrong for that. You wrong for that. But, you know, you watch an 84-year-old man in concert who's been rocking, you know, since Motown. in the 60s. I mean, how impressive was Smokey Robinson to
I
put on a
know.
concert at 84? My mom was 84. My mom lay in the bed all day. You know, she might go to church on Sunday, but, you know, she's 84. I don't expect her to do anything else than that. But this guy's doing full shows, full concerts the same age as my mom. And so obviously for him to be successful through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, I mean, and still be relevant. I mean,
Yeah.
Smokey's been recalibrating for a long time. And we hear a lot of one-hit wonders. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people in music that kind of survive their era,
Yeah.
but don't have staying power. So if
Right.
you're going to be in music, for example, Smokey's changed his sound, he's changed his tune, he's evolved with music. And I give just so much respect to someone who can be successful in music over 6 decades.
Right.
I mean, that is just amazing. So
Yeah,
in
he's
order
not a
for-
one-hit wonder, not at all.
Correct. So he's been able to recalibrate every decade to keep making music, keep being relevant. And if I remember, he released a new album. I think he announced at the concert. This guy's 84 releasing albums, which says to me he's music. So it doesn't matter. I'm not Smokey Robinson from the 60s. I'm just Smokey Robinson who's going to make beautiful music that's going to be relevant in whatever era I'm in. So we live in a world right now with the internet, artificial intelligence. There's always something big and new coming. If we're not willing to recalibrate all the time, we have companies like Blockbuster. They didn't recalibrate.
Right.
BlackBerry didn't recalibrate. So I think it's dangerous for any of us to think that we're going to live our lives and not recalibrate. The only way you can be a peak performer, operate at a high level, you got to recalibrate constantly, but you have to be decisive and make the right recalibration. And that is tricky, obviously, but you can't stay the same and think you're going to rock any industry for 60 years with no adjustments, no tweaks, no recalibrations. It's impossible.
Yeah, so you know what? As you're saying that, that's exactly what we talked about in swim. It's the shark mindset. What is a shark mindset? Sharks are always moving forward or they die. And they have no cartilage, as you always say. They're flexible. I use the word nimble because to me, I'm like, in life, we all got to be willing to be nimble. I mean, there's no reason to kind of be so rigid and not be flexible enough to say, like, okay, that's not working. There's no reason, like, what harm is it to see that you're doing something and it's not working, but you're going to keep acting like it's working? Like, who are you fooling? You are, like, what alter universe are you living in? I look at that people sometimes like, okay, now that's not working. Can't you tell there's no, it's like, I call it, there's no grace on it anymore. Then when there's a grace on it, you get a response. You can feel the energy. I'm this energy person that's always like, I can sense stuff. So it's like you can sense where something is like yay, or sometimes stuff just fall flat. And I think we got to be quick to be able to read the room. You got to be able to read people, read the moment. Recalibrate.
Well, there's a fine line. I think it's important for successful people to be decisive without being flaky. Now, some people switch all the time, and we call them flaky. But I do think there's a time where a person who's solid and stable knows, like, you know what? It's time for me to pivot. It's time for me to change. It's time to shift. So right now, we have a lot of clients who are struggling because through COVID, they were rolling.
Yeah.
Right? For whatever reason, COVID created a business environment where a lot of people were very, very successful through COVID. And all of a sudden, COVID ended. We're a couple of years out of COVID, and a lot of companies are still struggling because they have not been able to pivot to this post-COVID environment because they love COVID so well that they're almost stuck. So, to me, a shark pivoting is a reason they're the apex predator. And my favorite story to tell is that there's some sharks that can operate in fresh water and salt water. All they need is water. And to me, that is the ultimate scenario for someone to be successful. Because sometimes people say, well, I'll be successful, but I need to be in a big city. Well, I can be successful if I just need to be in a small town. Well, I can be successful, but I need to be in the suburbs. I need to be in a black community. I need to be in a Jewish community. I need to be around women. No. Just let me out the car.
Right.
I tell people all the time, just let me out the car. Where? Right here. Just drop me off the car. I'll be okay. Italy, drop me off the car. Germany, drop me off the car. Chicago, South Side, West Side, North Side, just let me out the car. I'll be okay. And to me, that's the shark mindset. That's the shark mentality. Wherever you end up, salt water or fresh water, all you need is water. And that mindset is what we all need to be successful, because whether you recalibrate on time or not, you still need to be mentally tough. You got to be resilient. You got to be relentless. And I think that the story of recalibration is important because sharks are flexible. We've had clients that won big through COVID.
Yeah.
We had clients that made the right pivot, the right shift through COVID, and it was the best thing ever happened for them. So we all have to recalibrate. We all need to be timely, but when you see a pivot you need to make, you got to make it. And you got to burn the boat and not look back. And you can't be double-minded about it.
But that's a key word, Walter. You just said you got to burn the boat. Because a lot of times I call it like kind of comfy couch. Remember that little TV show when the kids were little, the comfy couch? We have our little blanket like we're Linus, and we're here feeling like, ooh, this is so cozy. It's so good to me. Even though it's not working, we're acting like it's so comfortable to us that the thought of change is so scary versus being excited about it. Like you just talked about, having the right mindset when you went to Germany, embracing it. So I think a lot of times if it really comes back to, we always say this, your mindset. It comes back to you embracing change, embracing the new opportunity. And the quicker we embrace opportunity, it's almost like the canals in our brain start opening up to our creativity and really to like what's possible. And to me, I feel like the universe responds to when you start opening yourself up to change. And I feel like every time we've done that, new doors open up, new opportunities open, and every provision that we needed is on that path. And that's why I encourage people that's listening to us, if you're that person that right now things are kind of crunchy and you're feeling like, we've been stagnant, but you feel that uncomfortableness and you have that sensing that, I'm meant for more, you got to be willing to like burn the boat. What boat do you need to burn? What do you need to get over so you can get over to a land, I'm going to say the land of milk and honey that gives you more opportunity so that you can get more of what you're desiring?
Let me tell this quick story. And this is one of our buddies who recalibrated, and I think it was incredibly brilliant. Charlie Ward. Here's the guy who won the Heisman. For you football fans, Heisman is the greatest college football player in America. Charlie Ward won a national championship, won the Heisman. And I asked Charlie, weren't you upset when you didn't get drafted by the NFL? He goes, no, I wasn't upset. So what do you mean? You were the Heisman winner. He said, I knew I wouldn't get drafted. So he said as soon as football ended, he celebrated the national championship, and he began to prepare himself for the NBA draft. What a great story. So in the midst of success, the highest level success, championship football and the Heisman, he recalibrated, got ready for the NBA draft because he believed this is his best chance to play pro ball. And I asked him, Charlie, who helped you? He's like, oh, just me. He just felt like leaving football and focusing on basketball was going to put him in the best position to be successful. So here he is recalibrating in successful situations, and that's not normal. Most people are having success, and they're thinking if it ain't broke, don't break it. Charlie Ward was having the highest level of success in college football. This is a great conversation because it's college football season, and he recalibrated in real time. Now, the legend of Charlie Ward is real. He played 10 years in the NBA, and my God, and when he tells this story to me, I get goosebumps because not anyone that I know would ever pivot at that high level of success because you're being successful. It doesn't make sense. So sometimes recalibrating is not about failure. Charlie Ward, and he's in the Recalibration Hall of Fame because everyone knows the story, but do we really give him the respect of having the guts to win the Heisman and a national championship and walk away from football and get ready for the NBA and be successful? So to me, if we're going to have a Recalibration Hall of Fame, Charlie Ward is a no doubt first ballot member of the Recalibration Hall of Fame.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to all my ladies out there because actually we as women, a lot of times we're forced to recalibrate because a lot of times as a woman, you have a career and then you end up getting married. And then a lot of times you shift your career and kind of go sit and take a back seat for what your dreams are to go support somebody else. And a lot of times you're either supporting your husband or you're supporting your kids. So a lot of times I'm going to say a lot of ladies, we've been mastering the art of recalibration a long time because recalibration is really about making a sacrifice, honestly. And making that sacrifice for what? And sometimes you make a sacrifice, although something was good, you're making a sacrifice for something that's better. And so I'm going to say a shout out to all the ladies out there who really have been sacrificing like ad nauseum for their families.
And you did. You walked away from a great job with Dr. Pepper.
I had a career, baby, not a job.
Well,
I played playful.
Great job, career, and you loved it, right? And our
Yeah.
deal was, if I make the Utah Jazz, you're supposed to quit your job and come follow me to Salt Lake. And even my own mama was like, girl, don't quit your job.
Right, yeah.
I was like, mama, what are you doing? And it was tough for you to walk away from your career and to come join me in Salt Lake. And at the time, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it because I was like, hey, we got a deal. Come join me in Utah. But it was pro basketball, very volatile. And you had a career path with Dr. Pepper. You love the culture. You love the job. You love your boss. You love everything about it. And you did recalibrate. You walked away from your career, joined me in Salt Lake City. You were right by my side for 8 years. And then we were able to recalibrate together and launch our companies once basketball was over. So to your point, you're right. Women, especially when they get married, recalibrate a lot. So let's give a shout out to the ladies.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying. Yeah,
And,
like
you know,
we
not,
really
not
do.
yeah,
Yes.
not just you, just all women
A
that
lot of women do.
make the sacrifice. Hopefully men appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But as you told that story, though, I thought about it wasn't just hard because I was enjoying my job, but because I was recruited by Dr. Pepper. It's no different than getting recruited to a sport. When you're recruited from a company leaving college, those companies really make an investment in you. They give you a relocation package. They do a lot to attract you to their team, basically, just like sports. So that's what made it more special because these are the people that took a chance and made an investment. And so
Yeah.
that's what it was about.
True.
Yeah.
But if you hated that job,
Oh, I'd be like, so long, suckers.
recalibration would have been real easy. But to Dr. Pepper's credit, you loved the job. You loved it.
But I'm glad you said that. Now, to me, I don't know if I would think that's recalibration. To me, that's a different recalibration. That's like I'm leaving it because I hate it.
So
I'm like,
I mean,
well, I don't know. Okay, so I'm saying, to me, recalibrating, sometimes you might be leaving something that you love for something that you might fall in love with even more. I'm trying to make a positive spin on it, just that opportunity. So every example that I've been given about recalibrating, it really comes from a place of not being afraid to take a chance for a new opportunity that could be even better than the current one you're in.
Okay, let's have a real conversation because we've been very fortunate in our later years to be around extremely successful people. But I can't forget the South Side of Chicago, right? I grew up with people good people, meant well. They wanted to have a great life, but they found themselves in situations and got comfortable and just settled. So to me, recalibration, you got to fight through the urge to just settle and accept your lot in life because it is what it is. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm not where I want to be, but this ain't where I'm going to end up. So
Right.
think about all the people who lose hope, who get tired, who get fatigued, and just kind of throw in the towel. And we've seen loved ones do that. We've seen family members do that. They had these grandiose dreams, and they hit some adversity, and all of a sudden that adversity, they recalibrated, but not to do better. They recalibrated their dreams and began to acquiesce what they really wanted instead of plan A and their best life. Plan C is good, and and then you can justify it. So to me, unfortunately, you can recalibrate and live your best life, or you can recalibrate and give up your best life to settle for something that's less than what you really wanted, but for some reason you just gave up hope.
One of the worst things we can do in life is get comfortable in a place that we know this was not it. So I would encourage anyone, you got to get back reconnected to the vision. You got to stop and think about it like, wait a minute, this isn't what I was imagining, just like you talked about in basketball. Like, this was not it. And you can feel when you know it's not it. And it is whatever that thing, whatever that place is that you know that you should be doing more and doing better. So I'm like, you know what? You got to get reconnected, get recommitted, and you got to get locked in and know that you're meant for more. You know what? As we are talking about this, it just reminds me how we've had so many different instances we've needed to recalibrate. It just makes us so uniquely just qualified to really serve our clients. I mean, rather it's, I'm thinking about one of the young men I coach that is a business leader. He manages a store, and he has to recalibrate because why? He got to realize he got to trust more people. He got to trust his teammate. Or I think about some of the stages that you're on, that you're empowering and encouraging companies and employees and business owners to recalibrate in their business. Why? Because they know it's time to do more. And sometimes you got to do more with less, but either way, you got to recalibrate.
We know the beauty of being cognizant of recalibration. We've experienced clients who did recalibrate and won big. We've seen clients not recalibrate and lose big. And so right now I'm coaching a client that's recalibrating in real time, and I'm holding their hand through the process because it's such a big part of our life that I'm able to recognize when someone needs to recalibrate. So the beauty of our journey has taught us when to recalibrate, how to recalibrate, and the importance of recalibrating. Because the truth is, you can't predict life. Life has ups and downs. It has twists and turns. And recalibrating is key for any of us to be successful. So when our clients join us in our huddle, we're teaching them when to recalibrate, how to recalibrate, and how to expedite recalibration, because it's a necessary part of growth. And there's no way you're going to become a peak performer without effectively calibrating the right way at the right time.
When I think about that, Walter, honestly, the people that say, hey, we want you all to work with us, it's really the people, and especially the ones that want you to grace their stage, it's really the companies that are saying, like, you know what, we're trying to get to that next level. And a lot of times the business leader has that mindset, and they're really trying to instill it into all of their people. And so a lot of times I find, because I do, and I kind of coordinate, and I connect with a lot of people and a lot of the leaders as they're in that booking, decision-making phase. And one of the first things I ask them is like, what are you working on? Because the good thing is that when we're trying to figure out and discover what are you working on and where you're trying to go, we know we're best suited and know how to serve you. And so serving our clients is everything, because you know what I love? We've been talking about us recalibrating and knowing what our goals are. But seriously, what an amazing opportunity that we've had over the last 23 years in this business to really come alongside clients and business owners and business leaders to help make their dream and make their vision come true for their teams, really. And so that's the pretty amazing thing that I've loved about what we do every week.
Well, recalibration is a big part of who we are and what we do. And I'm thankful that the keynote is a hello.
Yeah.
Right, where they hear all these great concepts and what the vision should be, what they need to tweak, what they need to change. But now, with our business advisement, we're able to hold their hand through the process and say, hey, we've recalibrated enough.
Yeah.
It's okay. Take a deep breath, and let's walk you through it and hold your hand so you can get to the other side and be successful, because recalibration is scary.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a blind spot you can't see. And when you can't see that you need to recalibrate, you need an outside resource to come in and say, hello, time out. We got to pivot. We have to change. We have to shift. And so we have a client right now that had no middle management. I'm like, you are fooling yourself to think you're going to grow exponentially when you have no middle management. So right now we're helping them build a middle management organically inside of their culture, because they have maxed out capacity. So even their organizational development had really tapped out their potential, but they didn't know what they didn't know. So for us to come in and see that based on our 2 decades of experience and help them recalibrate, they're over there like, man, this is awesome. This is brilliant. Like, no, you can call us brilliant if you want. This is just kind of common sense, because we've seen it a lot. But recalibration is necessary for any individual, any family, any organization that has a big dream, a big goal. The moment you see that you're off track, tweak, change, shift, so you can get back on track to reach all your goals. So any of our clients, that's what you're going to get. I don't care how big you are. We got clients at $4 billion. We got clients doing $10 million or $1 million. Doesn't matter.
We got some trying to get to their first 100,000 in some of our coaching programs.
We serve people, but one thing we know in our lives that we have had to pivot, we've had to recalibrate.
You know what? I love what you're saying. And so when a client joins us in one of our Huddle programs, that's what they get. They get 2 people that are committed to their recalibration, that's committed to listening and serving so that they can recalibrate and then really help the team recalibrate as well, so that you can get more of what you're looking for. Because that's what we all want. We all are looking for more. But sometimes you need assistance. You need support. And I hear you say it a lot. Sometimes you need support. You need someone else to come alongside you to help you get more of what you're looking for.
And for me, I take joy as a coach, seeing that light click on. You know, when you really reach a business leader and they understand that they've had a limited perspective, and when you cut the light on for them, they see it. That's, for me as a coach, is very validating. So, for example, you know, we teach our speakers, and I speak. You're not a speaker. You're a CEO of a company.
That's
And
right.
they look at me like, yeah. You're not a speaker. You're a CEO of a company. We keep saying it. We keep saying it. And now many of our more mature speakers, they get it. Like, oh, I'm not a speaker. I'm a CEO of a company. And so it's a funny experience when our new speakers come in and we keep kind of preaching that to them. And they don't get it right away. But once the light clicks on, it's awesome. I bet it's no different than learning how to read for a kindergarten teacher, or teaching someone how to count, or being a coach, to see the person get it and the light click on, or playing a musical instrument, or whatever you're teaching. That's the real victory for a coach, to see someone's light click on. Because once they get it, they get it. And I know for a fact, and you agree with me, that we have to recalibrate constantly if we're going to live our best life. Now, if you settle for less, okay, this is not your moment.
Right.
But if you want to live your best life, recalibration is just a part of it. And we love to hold people's hand through the process, because we recalibrated so much, and we're going to still recalibrate. We're recalibrating right now, okay? And we're going to hold anyone's hand through the process so that they can live their best life.
If you found this content helpful, you know what?